Hello, good evening, and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. And our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. We are streaming live on our social media pages and on Facebook. We are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Eye on Port, which I'll be getting interactive with you. And so all you have to do is send us your messages and comments ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559019177. 0559019177. When the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Now and again, GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor,
I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance
for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going for some local port and shipping news that took place in the course of the week. And in the course of the week, a one-day training program and capacity building workshop was held. That was on ocean governance, was held here in Accra. Plus the fact that the International Day of the Seafarer has been celebrated, and the day is actually today, 25th of June 2023. And so we have these stories and more. Let's take a look at them.
Stakeholders in Ghana's maritime sector last Friday joined the rest of the world to demonstrate a renewed commitment to the fight against maritime pollution ahead of the Day of the Seafarer, which falls on June 25 each year. This year's Day of the Seafarer coincides with the 50th anniversary of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, also known as MAPOL, which was initiated in 1973. At a forum hosted by the Ghana Maritime Authority in collaboration with the Regional Maritime University, the various participants, including seafarers, students, lecturers, maritime administrators, among others, discussed the contributions of seafarers to the safety of shipping and prevention of marine pollution and the challenges encountered. The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Thomas Kofi Alonsi, assured of his outfit's commitment to the fair treatment of seafarers.
The welfare of seafarers has always been a concern, and as such, the authority is making efforts to ensure that the embarkation and disembarkation of seafarers are registered at our offices by seafarer recruitment and placement agencies for safety and security reasons. A tripartite committee has also been commissioned to report on fisher-related issues, particularly with regards to conditions on board vessels, and to streamline work agreements for shippers.
Regional Coordinator for the International Maritime Organization, Captain Dallas Laye, on behalf of the Secretary General, Kita Clem, encouraged seafarers to use their platforms to promote the sustainable protection of the ocean.
We invite you to share on social media what you see when you are at sea. Show us the equipment you use to protect the environment, the special training you received. Tell us how you protect our ocean and planet. Because when it comes to the implementation of all the IMO international treaties, majority are done by seafarers.
The acting Vice Chancellor of the Regional Maritime University, Dr. Jethro Brooks Jr., called on government and industry to collaborate towards linking graduates to suitable careers.
I would like to commend the Ghana Maritime Authority for initiating processes for the ratification of the International Labour Organization Seafarers Identity Documents Convention, revised 2003 as amended number 185. As a maritime training institution, concerned with the quick employment of our graduates upon completion of their various courses, the Regional Maritime University is of the candid opinion that the earlier the ratification of this convention is done, the better it will be for our seafarers.
Minister for Transport, Kwekwo Froyesiama, in a speech read on his behalf by the Chief Director of the Ministry, Mabel Sego, touched on the socio-economic benefits the new cabotage law passed will bring to Ghana.
Ghana has passed into law the Ghana Shipping Cabotage Regulation 2021, LI 2438, which reserves 50% of all officer and 75% of all rating positions aboard vessels operating solely within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction for Ghanaian seafarers. This initiative will not only strengthen our national economy, but also generate employment prospects for our citizens and build local capacity.
Students of the Regional Maritime University are calling on government, NGOs and agencies within the maritime sector of Ghana to partner the school
in key engineering projects that will provide sustainable solutions for societal problems. The students of the Marine Engineering Department, as part of their final year projects, have come up with samples of wind turbines, solar-powered fishing boats, fiberglass canoes, among other innovations in light of global safety and decarbonization needs. They exhibited these works at the celebration of the Day of the Seafarer at the school.
It's a wind turbine. So we are trying as possible to reduce the emission that is happening in our world. So we have designed a wind turbine that can help us generate electricity for various houses and the industry. We also have solar fishing boats. Why solar? We are trying to incorporate renewable energy into our system so that we reduce the emissions that we find in our environment. So we will like all the trawler vessels and all the fishing vessels that we have around to come around and then partner with us. We can reduce emissions.
The students of the Maritime Education and Training Institute are appealing for funding, capacity building, among other things, to scale up these innovative works for the development of the sector. George Obeng is a graduate assistant at the Regional Maritime University.
These canoes have these ones on their boats to be able to, serve as a safety means for survival. So there's a lifeboat. We have come up with an idea that, okay, when the boat capsizes, you can just pick this thing up and it will be floating. This is also a remote skimmer. What it does is that whenever there is a spillage, we have sensors here that will detect the oil and then drain the oil or separate the oil from the water through our pipelines into a container, then we discharge them.
The fight against the perennial plastic pollution in Ghana's marine environment is on, with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority resolved to leave its mark. As part of recent efforts, officials of GPHA on World Environment Day met with the fishing community at the ABS Fishing Harbour in Sekondi to sensitize them on the dangers of plastic pollution in the marine environment. They did this in collaboration with the Environmental Protection Agency.
So the key thing is that we must be responsible when it comes to the disposal of plastics. We can also promote the use of alternatives like paper in order to avoid the use of plastic, which will generate more plastic within our system. We are also promoting that the port, together with the fishing communities, are able to segregate their waste streams, particularly plastic. And there are companies within the Western region that can purchase the plastics and recycle these plastics into forms and other use to reduce the plastic that we may have within our country or within the Western region.
There's been cases where fishermen go to fish and all that they get is plastics and waste. But it is a human problem that can be managed. So we are looking at creating a kind of awareness to see how we can contribute in managing that situation. That's the reason why we chose the fishing harbour this day to celebrate the World Environment Day.
A one-day training and capacity building workshop on ocean governance has been organized for maritime law enforcement agencies in Ghana as part of the project deliverables under the One Ocean Hub project. The project is being implemented by the University of Strathclyde Centre for Environmental Law and Governance in the United Kingdom in collaboration with the University of Cape Coast. The project aims to support vulnerable groups in Africa and small island developing states who, according to UN sources, face the greatest challenges to prevent and mitigate negative development impacts connected to the ocean, as well as predict the socio-economic benefits of ocean conservation. The team lead at SEMLOS Africa, Dr. Kamal Dean Ali, provided an overview of the maritime space vis-a-vis the law of the sea.
The convention regulates our contemporary maritime space, and it also forms the basis for other international instruments. They can be fisheries instruments, they can relate to migration within the sea, they may relate to how to interdict narcotics at sea, they may relate to marine conservation and biodiversity. Even it may be something that has to do with marine pollution and shipping. The Constitution provides a framework for other international instruments.
Head of Department Geography and Regional Planning at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Benjamin Kofi Nyakon, said the training is to ensure good health of the ocean.
With this project, we have some priorities. That's how to restore the small pelagic, to look at alternative livelihoods for the fisher folk so that they may not rely much more on the fish stock, to also come out with decision support system to help in the ocean governance.
He entreated maritime law enforcement agencies to ensure that industrial trawlers don't ply their activities within the exclusive economic zones, which will affect fishermen.
We are saying that we have an exclusive zone where the artisanal fisheries need to be, instead of the industrial trawlers encroaching within this exclusive zone. So the rule is to enforce, to understand that if the trawlers come into the exclusive zone, then it may affect the livelihoods of the artisanal fishers. So their role is to understand that if they don't enforce the rules, then our fisher folks will not have any means to live on.
In a related development, the Ghana wing of the Women in Shipping and Trading Association has organized an educational forum in Accra for women entrepreneurs on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. They did this in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development, among other partners. In addition to helping the women understand the free trade agreement, its benefits and requirements, the forum also served as an opportunity for these entrepreneurs to showcase their products and be introduced to newer markets and WISTA's wide network pool. Jamilat Mahama is the secretary of WISTA International and former president of WISTA Ghana.
So through our colleagues, other national associations, these women will be given the platform, the leverage to also market their products. And with such seminars, they would have ideas. Women who are not even into business, after this program and more yet to come, will definitely come up with ideas.
The Tema section of the Women in Logistics and Transport, WiLAT, has been launched to help mobilize the active participation of women and empower them to lead in an industry considered to be male-dominated. WiLAT is the female wing of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT, with over 3,500 members in 38 countries worldwide, including Ghana. The official launch was also used to address the development of maritime logistics infrastructure for a successful implementation of AfCFTA. Mabel Kabute is the acting chairperson of WiLAT Ghana.
The launch of this event seeks to encourage, provide more women with opportunities such as training and professional networking, both local and international.
Speaking on behalf of the director of Tema Port, Sandra Opoku, Marketing and Public Affairs Manager Abna Sewa Opoku Fosu said, the launch of the Tema section of WiLAT is laudable, as Tema is seen as the fulcrum of logistics supply chain and transport activities.
Women rising to become leaders in this industry is essential to inspire future generations and to show that nothing is off limits.
Member of Parliament for Tema West, Carlos Ahenkra, revealed that some significant progress has been made with a push for the protocol for women and youth under AfCFTA.
The policy document has been developed, but the protocols are yet to be discussed. And once the protocols are discussed, women and youth are going to have serious support for cross-border trade, especially. And also, there's going to be an enhanced reduction in the cost of doing business for women.
All right, welcome back. We are going straight for our word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terms and jargons we use in the shipping industry. And today's word is contraband. Contraband.
Contraband. A contraband is any cargo that is prohibited.
All right, welcome back. We are zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and we're having a follow-up discussion on what we had last week. Last week, we took a look at how we can employ the use of science in the management and governance of our oceans, which is very rich. Natural resources and other things. And I told you last week that we are told that it's a gold mine. If we manage it effectively and efficiently, it will inure to the benefit of the generality of the Ghanaian people. Tonight, we're taking a look at specifics. We're taking a look at plastic pollution and how we can develop pathways towards ending plastic pollution in Ghana's marine environment. And so it gives me pleasure once again to introduce to you our guests for tonight. Last week we had Professor Francis Nunu, who is head of the Department of Marine and Fisheries Sciences at the University of Ghana. He was here with us. Thank you very much for joining us again tonight, Prof.
Thank you.
We're grateful to have you again. And we also have Mr. Kojo Agbeno Efunam, who is Director, Petroleum Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good to have you here. And our very own Mr. Rickster Ni Ama Matthew, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Economy and Governance Consult and the Secretary of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana. Rickster, good evening and welcome. What happens if we have foreign elements in the sea, we have life in the sea? I mean, if they detect that there's some infiltration of some foreign material or something, what happens to them?
The sea is a vast ecosystem, and we have so many levels of it.
Right.
The biodiversity at the top of the sea is different from the biodiversity at the bottom.
Right.
Even the biodiversity in the middle is different. The impacts on organisms, etc., is also different.
Yes.
We have portions where the sea is slow. We have portions where the sea is fast. We have valleys. We have flat lands. We have mountains. We have places that are very dark. We have places that are very lighted. So the impacts will not be the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Closer to shore, we have the dynamics of the currents and the waves. And we have different types of currents also in the sea. The impacts will depend on whether the pollution is coming from land or the pollution is coming from sea.
Right.
And also, it also depends on the type of pollutant. We shouldn't just conclude that it's only plastic. We have so many different types of pollutants, chemicals, oil, and the sorts. Noise pollution even.
Right.
And all of them contribute together to distort and affect biodiversity. But the key thing is that the sea is a habitat for millions of organisms.
Absolutely.
These millions of organisms, when they see plastics, quite a number of them, especially the vertebrates, when they see plastics, the first thing they think of is food.
Yes.
Food. In fact, all of us, we need food to survive.
Yes.
Yeah. So they see it as food or as prey, and they go for it. And it might end up affecting, choking them, or even going into their stomachs and releasing some chemicals for them, etc. The long and short is that plastic pollution affects the processes in the ocean. The various processes, chemical processes, physical processes. Sometimes even plastics can accumulate at a point where it slows down waves and things, and is able to stop the movement of eggs from one place to the other. And it can even stop, we can have what we call cohort failure. It can even stop reproduction. And therefore, we may not have some type of fish growing at a particular time.
Yes.
So this is like a snapshot of the whole show, but the divisions of the ocean is governed by UNCLOS.
Right.
Yeah, UNCLOS 1982, United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea.
Yeah.
And Law of the Sea stipulates various effects from the various industries, shipping, this, that, and all that, fishing industry and all that, and outlines all these dangers. We also have MARPO,
Yes.
the Convention on Marine Pollution, that regulates what the fishing industry, etc., can do.
Absolutely.
Another impact that I want to talk about, and is huge, is entanglement. Entanglement.
Right.
Various, not only fish, sea turtles, whales, dolphins, etc., can get entangled, and it can lead to lacerations and injuries.
Right.
And the amount of nets that are doing ghost fishing in the sea is huge. There's a company that takes a month 20,000 kilos of fish, 20,000 kilos of entangled nets from the sea, picks them up at the various beaches.
Every month?
Every month, 20,000 kilos.
Within our area?
In Ghana.
20,000 nets?
20,000 kilos by weight.
Yes, okay.
Of net. I'll not name the company.
Yes.
And that company is picking these things up and then putting them together and shipping them.
Right.
And adding value to them.
Okay.
And making money.
Wow.
All these things, even we can do it within Ghana, and this money will come to Ghana and give employment to the nation.
Yeah.
So I've just given a snapshot.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is that plastics disrupts the micro processes, the processes of the ocean, the flows and things that help in biodiversity growth and sustainability. And I'll come back again.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll come back again, yes. The last time you made mention of the fact that activities on land is heavily impacting the marine environment and all that.
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
And I just want to find out from you if you can give us a fair idea of what the situation looks like from our side and how rampant or frequent this particular phenomenon is and how devastating it has been to our marine ecosystem in terms of...
Thank you. Basically, one of the easiest one is the plastic bottles and our pure water that we drop.
Right.
By attitude, we seem not to containerize our waste very well. We don't bin them.
Yes.
And so the first thing is try to gather them, collect them. We don't bin them, and even when we bin them, it is taken out.
Yes.
So either directly or indirectly, it ends up in the sea. So the plastic bottles, pure water bottles, end up when it rains or the wind takes them to the sea.
Right.
Or people even take the rubbish and dump them at the seaside.
Yes.
And even try to cover them, but it will come up again.
Absolutely.
Now, if you go to, when it rains and you see in Accra, for instance, the odor, we have done studies using satellite remote sensing, and we see when it rains, you see the plastic in chunks, large chunks, moving from the odor even into the Kole water. And we monitor it with satellite, and we see all this. So our activities on land, and especially coming from Circle, when it rains, the quantity, and even if you go to Circle, you see the human population that passes through just that area in a day. And you can see the quantity that will come from Central Accra, also going into the sea. And we see them through the drains, through to the Chemu, and going into the sea. This is the sort of findings we are making, and it's huge. When it gets into the sea, for organisms that are sessile, sitting at one place, it can smother them.
Right.
It cover them. And then, large chunks can cover them, and then it can degrade the habitat, destroy biodiversity. So these are the things that we see from the impacts of the ocean. So this is human beings throwing all these things. So the nets, as well as the plastics, various types of plastics that we are putting in the sea, directly or indirectly, all the way towards the coastal zone. Let's say 10 kilometers inland. Whatever you do there goes into the sea. If you urinate even, the water, whatever, within that kilometers of the coastal zone, it goes into the sea. So the coastal waters, and even a little bit even towards offshore, you see this. I even saw this especially when we were working at the Tishin, we had a desalination plant. And thanks be to God, I was part of the team that worked on the EIA, and then he can talk about it later. And in our studies, we found out that the turbidity of the ocean decreased from the coastal waters seawards.
Right.
Turbidity is the dissolved solids and suspended solids.
Right.
And as we did a transit, let's say all the way for about 2 kilometers into the sea, we found out that the coastal area had more, and then it decreased along the line.
Yes.
The other parameters followed similar trend.
Yes.
So you see the impact of the land on the sea clearly.
Absolutely.
And in fact, that's one of the reasons why visitors cannot even swim so well in our waters. The turbidity in our waters, you can't see so far.
Yes.
So that's why we are not getting a lot of tourists coming to our waters because there's the waves and the churning and all that. But in addition to that, we are churning out a lot of waste into the system.
Exactly.
We don't treat our sewage so well. Even first level treatment, that is screening to reduce the paper and the rubber and things that we put in there, all the bombs that we throw, we have to screen them at least to the first level. That is all ending up in the sea, not only in Accra, but across the coast. So this is really the picture, and it's showing the impacts, of land-based activities on sea-based.
Right.
When the fishing vessels also land, they are not supposed to release their things at the harbor, but sometimes you see oil slicks and they release their things and they release in the night, at the harbor and things. And we've also seen that. We did some studies at the Tema harbor and we trawled within the harbor itself with permission. And we got huge sinks of plastic waste.
Right.
Although we found lots of fish there as well. There was lots of food, lots of sugar and rice that has fallen in there. And the fish were having a field day. But together, there was plastics.
Right.
And some of the fishes, when we opened their stomachs, there were plastics in their stomachs. They had chewed them. They could have grown bigger. And all our complaint of eating small fish would have been reduced. And then we saw practically how this plastics is affecting the growth of fishes.
Absolutely.
And we complain we don't have. Sometimes they even get embedded in the tissues. And if you analyze the tissues, we have what we call microplastics and macroplastics.
Right.
The huge ones. The huge ones are the macroplastics. The microplastics, some are as a result of the breakdown of the bigger plastics.
Right.
But some too are direct, which you call microbeads.
Right.
And they put in the often the exfoliating creams that they use to as an abrasive in their for the women to and these are microbeads.
Right.
And all of them get dispersed in the water, sometimes even releasing chemicals into the water and clogging the gills, the breathing organs of fish. So this is the extent to which human activity
has impacted the ocean.
Are impacting the ocean.
Absolutely.
I'll come back.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let me come to Mr. Agbenu Afunam, and then find out from you. You are at the Environmental Protection Agency. We've had this issue. It's been a long-standing one, plastic pollution in our country. I just wanted to give us a sense of what the situation is in terms of this particular phenomenon in our country. Is it that bad? Should we be worried?
Yeah, maybe before I speak on that, let me add to what Prof has just said about the land-based pollution. We're talking also in this country about galamsey, and we think that galamsey is only affecting arable lands. You fly from Accra to Takoradi, you see what is coming, particularly from rivers that are flowing through the galamsey areas. Pra, for example. And as Prof has said, if you see the turbidity at the mouth of Pra, that one is far, far, far more than what you see in maybe Accra through Odo. Yeah, so all the effects from galamsey activities, the chemicals that are released, all of them travel into the sea. So now, coming back to whether the issue that we are discussing, the plastic issue, is also prevalent in Ghana. Let me say, we have just celebrated the World Environment Day. And the theme that the UN has chosen for us to look at is, beat plastic pollution. Now, why that particular theme? The studies that have been done worldwide have shown that we are choking the earth. So when you say we are choking the earth, it means that, you know, as humans, if you are, let's say, drinking something or you are eating something and you are choked, you see how difficult it is for you to even breathe. You think that at that moment you will die.
Yes.
So that is what we are subjecting
suffocate,
subjecting the earth to. And the UN had proposed that for the next year, so from the 5th June until we do another World Environment Day next year, our focus should be on plastics to see how best we can minimize or reduce the impact that plastic is having on the earth. And there are 3 processes whereby we get the plastic. Those who produce it, that's the manufacturers. So we have to look at the way that we produce the plastics. Then the second one is the consumption.
Yes.
So the way we consume plastics is another area that we need to look at. Then finally, the disposal. And the disposal is the critical issue, and that is why we are even here talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, there is nothing wrong so much with the production, but then if you look at the type that are being produced, now, so we're coming back into Ghana. Now, you look at the carrier bags, the one that we normally say, the polythene bag. Anytime we want to buy something, we are giving these polythene bags for free.
Absolutely.
Now, in other jurisdictions, it's not so. And the microfilms that are being produced as a carrier bag, especially the black ones, they are so...
The popular one.
That is the popular one. And they are so bad, they are so dangerous. They are almost like what we call in the plastic terminology, single use.
Right.
There are a number of, even this one, the water bottles,
yes.
They are regarded as single use.
Yes.
But then, if you look at what we do over here, after the water, some people reuse them for other things. So you can say they are not really single use. You use it once and throw it away. You can use it for something else.
Right.
Even in our places, offices, once you have this single one, where you have water dispensers, you can go and fill the bottle again, and then you can continue to reuse it. But if you look at the black polythene bag, the one that immediately you take it, you have to dispose it. Right. Immediately you take it, and continually we are churning that. And if you go to our landfills, the landfills are easily filled up. The moment we have a landfill, it's filled within a short time. Why? Because the plastics that go in there, the volume, you see, the plastic has so much volume to occupy when it goes to the landfill. And unfortunately, it does not decompose easily like other materials. A plastic bottle like this will take 450 years, that's what study has shown, to decompose. Wow. As against steel. Steel is these materials that we use. Steel may take about 50 years to decompose. And aluminum may take about 200 years to decompose. But plastic takes about 450 years. So imagine I throw this plastic bottle away. It means if it goes into the environment, it will stay there 450 years. And where will I be at that time? So I have created a problem not for this present generation, but for generations unborn, and they will have to deal with it. The problem in Ghana is so huge, and Prof has touched on it already. Let it rain, and then take a walk to the beach, and then you can see what we are doing to ourselves. You see the volume, the vast amount of plastics that is listed, at the beach front. Now, the issue is not only even at the seafront and then making it an eyesore. Prof has already talked about we are not getting tourists
Yes.
to come to the beach because of this plastic. But then, even if you look at arable land, the fear is that very soon we'll not be able to get a place to farm because the plastics are going into the arable lands too. And because they cannot decompose, yeah, they will cover a lot of... when we were growing up, you just go to the ground. You see a lot of earthworm. But I don't know whether my children have even seen earthworm. They are so common because these small animals, they break down the material, organic materials, and they compose to become fertilizers. But now, they are hardly found in some of these places. Why? Because plastics go there, as Prof said. It covers them. They can't get air to breathe, and then they die. So where will you get this earthworm to be producing the natural fertilizers? So we have a very huge problem in the country with regards to plastics. Yeah.
All right, let me still stay with you a little more and find out from you whether you think that there's a lot of education or enough sensitization and literacy, so to speak, on issues of plastic pollution in our country, from where you sit at the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah, I think in this country, we have been using two particular arguments, which, for me, those arguments, we should think about them again. Number one is the poverty argument, and number two is the ignorance argument. And the ignorance argument is the one that you touch. Yeah. Have there been enough education? Now, I look at it this way. Whenever we are looking at waste, what are we dealing with? So plastic, it is not really the product itself. It's a very good thing. You look around, today's world is plastic's world. Everything, the chairs that we are sitting on, just look around. Even if you go to your home, you can see a lot of plastic materials so our world is a plastic world. It is not the plastic that is the issue. It is how we use it and how we dispose of it. That's the problem. So from where I sit, Ghanaians, do they have enough knowledge about plastic pollution? I say, let's not limit it to plastics. Let's take waste in general. When I go into my bedroom, there are certain things that I take there. After using them, now I know that they are waste. So, do I keep them with me? I move them out. Now, why am I moving them out? Because I have that knowledge that waste cannot be with me where I am sleeping. So I move it out to where? I'm doing something in the kitchen. All the things that we buy, we take them to the kitchen and then we cook. It's not everything that we use. There are some that we call waste. Do we keep them in the kitchen? No. Why? Because we have knowledge that waste should not stay with us. Those of us who are in areas where you have the bin, we move all this into the bin. Where do they go? As far as we have a waste contractor that will come and take it, our problem is ended. Once it enters the bin, we are not thinking about where it is going. So we keep on filling, So from that point of view, you can see that there is a level of literacy concerning how we should dispose of waste. Now, those of us who are not in that kind of class where you have a waste bin, it's the same process. We take the waste from our bedroom, our hall, our kitchen, and then we take it to where? Outside our houses. Why? Because we don't want it to be in our home. So where should it go? Now, we see an empty area in front of us, and then we throw it there. Why? Because we don't want it to be with us. But once it is away from our eye view, we think our problem is solved. Yes. We don't know that we are creating a problem for maybe the municipal authorities or something like that. But then, is it ignorance that is making us put it there? I don't think so. The reason I'm saying this and I'm going around this route is there has been so much education. I happen to be on the technical committee on NADMO, man-made disasters, some years back. And about that, roughly will be 10, 11 years now. So we were looking at this plastic pollution as one of the man-made disasters that we are creating in this country. And again, over there, the argument has been on this ignorance. And all the time we say we need to educate. So let's say 10 years from that time, can we still hold on to the ignorance argument? I see my colleagues, even before we started, my colleagues in the regions, the EPA staff, one of the critical things that they do, or the greater work, is education. So they go all the time using the radio, using information sectors, and they are always there educating the people, the assemblies, on the way to manage waste. And it has been ongoing. So, long and short, there has been so much education in this country. It is simply behavior.
Attitude.
Attitude. It is simply attitude. A lot of us have the knowledge. It is only that we are refusing to use it appropriately.
Absolutely.
Either through deliberate action or forgetfulness.
Right.
Okay. So,
thank you very much, Mr. Agbeno. Let me come to Mr. Matthew Rickster. Clearly, a lot of the plastic pollution is generated onshore, that's what we are told. But there's some element of culpability on the side of the fisherfolk themselves. For example, we're told that when they are going, on their expeditions, they carry water, sachet water, and all that, and other stuff that are contained in plastics and all that. I just want to find out from you, you are with the, fisheries, whatever, tuna association to national fisheries and all those.
If I'm a fisherman, just see that.
Fisherman, exactly. That's what I was finding difficult to say, but yeah. So tell us, what role you can play to check this particular trend?
Well, thank you very much, Bernard, and good evening to our cherished listeners.
Bernard is a politician.
Sorry, Kenneth.
Yes.
Forgive me. But he's your cousin.
Absolutely, yes.
So,
yes.
Well, let me just pick something from what my senior just said as regard to the disposal of plastic.
Yes.
You see, one of the biggest challenge we have is how we tie even organic substance in the plastics. Like you said, plastic takes a long time to decompose. Now, I get my foodstuff, what I don't want, I gather all of them, put them in the plastic and tie them, and put them in the waste bin. What it means is that the organic substance themselves do not even get the opportunity to decompose. Because they remain tied in the plastic, and then you dispose it, and then because you've not separated them, and they are in the plastic, they don't get the opportunity to decompose. And that's why the landfill will get filled much easier, because you have a lot of these tied waste in the plastic that may decompose should they be disposed separately from the plastic. And I think it is the more reason we probably may have to start thinking about waste segregation. It is sad that you go to well-established communities and we are still not practicing waste segregation. It is sad because if there is a waste contractor who comes to collect waste, what prevents us from having 3 bins? One for plastic, one for paper and other products, and then one for organic. Why can't we do it in TMA, in AMA, in KMA, at least we need to, why don't we pilot these in our basic schools, in the university? Why is it that I go for a workshop and then all of us are giving cups, when we could simply be giving glasses and then there will be a disposable there'll be a dispenser out there that people could just fetch from the dispenser, so that we save ourselves the problem of having to bring 20 plastic bottles when we could just put glasses on each at the table, and anybody who needed water would just walk to the dispenser and fetch water and continue. So you see, it is not ignorance. It's also because we have not tuned ourselves to these things. Fishermen until recently were probably not sending water in plastic. They were sending water in gallons.
Yes.
And when I was young, we were fishing. We had the calabash. We actually were not using cup. We were using calabash. And so we were all fetching from the calabash. And so we didn't have problems having to dispose of plastic. But you know the challenge we've had with the quality of water that is coming out of our taps. Nobody now trusts the water from the tap. So everybody is basically turning towards what we in local parlance prefer as pure water. Not even bottle, the sachet one, which are single-use plastics. And so that has become necessity also for safety reasons. Now, probably what we may have to do now is to, because we can't stop the fishermen from taking the water, but they can't take water dispensers to sea. So what we may have to do is to encourage them to bring back the plastic, and we should incentivize them to be able to bring as much plastic as they take back. So there may be a container probably provided for every fisherman or every canoe. So that when you use the plastic, you just put them in the... Because fishermen themselves are worried about the amount of plastic waste that they are
generating.
What about Veronica bucket at sea?
They are catching.
No, that'll be in the canoe. That'll be very difficult.
It will be shaking.
Yeah, that'll be very difficult. But you give them
a container.
Let them put whatever they use in the container and bring them back.
Right.
I can assure you they'll be willing. At least you have more than 80% will be willing to bring back the plastic they use at sea. So that is a challenge. It is easier to deal with when we try to engage them and provide. You see, when you say, oh, let's educate them, and you don't provide them any opportunity to do the right thing, you may say they may hear it, but how do
provide the infrastructure.
Yes. Yeah, you provide the very basic infrastructure for them to do it.
Right.
For instance, Prof was talking about entangling nets and all that.
Yes.
In the tuna industry, we use what we call fish aggregating devices.
Fish what?
Aggregating devices.
Aggregating devices,
FAD.
okay, yeah, sure.
And we use, in the FAD, we use nets. And the tuna aggregates around it. One of the rules that had come up is now use biodegradable FAD. And it must be non-entangling. So almost all the tuna companies are now preparing that from 2024 we'll start using biodegradable non-entangling FAD. But you know one challenge you're going to have. Everything you bring to this, you pay huge taxes.
Yes.
So, and you may not get all the materials you need for the biodegradable FAD.
Right.
So, if you are bringing materials and you probably may pay more taxes, increasing your cost of operation.
Opportunity to produce here.
Well, opportunity, that you even need the skills, the expertise. People need to, you see, the challenge we have is that a lot of people don't want to get into the sea. They feel the sea is too big to take them away. So people don't see the opportunities that are out there. Probably that's why we need to push the blue economy agenda very well. So you need these materials. And for instance, the Koreans, companies that have Korean partners are importing them from Korea.
Yes.
Those that have Chinese partners may import them from China. But you pay a lot of taxes on them.
Right.
And so companies may not be too willing to go into a new adventure that comes with a higher cost.
Absolutely.
We have the challenge of what we call the monofilament nets. When you go to the beaches, you find out that they have these green nets that are made from plastic.
Right.
One of the reasons the law doesn't allow the use of monofilament nets in our ocean space is because of ghost fishing and the fact that you easily lose them.
Right.
So when you lose them, they don't decompose. They stay in there and they keep fishing.
Right.
So those are some of the dangers. Fishermen have been educated about it. because of its nature, the fish do not see them easily. So they easily catch fish. But it comes with a lot of danger the moment you lose them. So if you want to take out monofilament net, you probably would have to make the alternative easier.
Okay.
So that fishermen can easily acquire the alternative and use them. So it is true that there is some level of plastic pollution at sea. It is not unsurmountable. We can easily surmount them. Except that we need the right policy to deal with these things. I think that the Fisheries Act also adequately deal with issues of marine pollution. If you look at 91, 92, 93, deals with issues of marine pollution. And it even says that when fishermen release things they are not supposed to release at sea, if it has to do with the industrial sector, the fine is fantastic, about $50,000 US. If it is the lower sector, then they're talking about 50 penalty units and a maximum of 500 penalty units. But this can all be, issues of plastic can be legislated properly. But where should we, the policy to ban the use of single plastic? We need to take that bold step and ban it.
Right.
You see, because if you can't manage it, don't allow it into the system.
Absolutely.
And the amount of single plastic we are bringing in. When I was young, if they send you to the market, you have a basket.
Yeah.
You go, you buy all the things you want to buy them, and then bring the basket. Today, you go to the market, you buy fish, they put it in one polythene. You buy groceries in another polythene. You buy cassava in another. So you come home and you have a lot of plastics. Because they are single-use plastics, and sometimes they are not strong, so you finish, you take your things out, you tie them, or you put some of the other waste in there, you tie it, and then you dispose it. We are not able to manage. Can we just take the bull by the horn? Let's talk about, people will say, oh, but employment. When we ban them, we will have alternatives. Because the amount of plastic that we are letting go into the ocean when you walk along our beaches, it's terrible. You have terrible sight of waste. Now, the other challenge, and I keep saying this thing, that I cannot comprehend why government projects will create drains and channel them into water bodies.
Right.
So the drain from my house goes into one water body.
Yeah.
And so all the waste, even the plastic by the roadside, will all get there, and they will end up along the estuaries and into the ocean. And you destroy...
Not only from homes, from industries and things.
Everywhere.
It's a cheap way. Everybody directs to water.
And you see, we need...
And that thing we should stop.
We need a policy to reverse...
Little or no treatment.
We need a policy to reverse that. Now, why are we not building biomasses to deal with the other? Because you go to places and we have a lot of public toilets. And so what happens to it? So if you say Choco, there are about 20 public toilets in Choco. Can't we now build one biomass in Choco, channel all the waste there, treat them, and then probably produce gas or compost from it?
Right.
And then
there's a treatment plant around Kole area.
Yeah. And then we are able to free the ocean from that load of sewage that we... When you go to Sakuma, when you drive around Sakuma, the stench that comes from the ocean because of the waste that we put in there. The pumping stations are basically not functioning. But with all the houses in Tema, all of them have toilet facilities, they have sewer lines. Why don't we build a huge biomass in Tema that takes the waste, treats them, and probably get some... So it's not like and these are things that will give us money. Waste management is wealth generation.
Absolutely.
You get, when you throw out what you call waste, you are throwing away wealth. So you need a country that now thinks about how to make wealth from what we call waste, because other people don't see that to be waste. Even fish, one piece of fish, there's no single waste, because every part of the fish have some use. So everything we have some use. And if we want to surmount the issue of plastic, we need to look at the waste look at it from the position of wealth. Right. How do we generate the wealth that we can find in this bottle? Somebody is using plastic waste to create blocks and building homes. It's generating wealth from what we call waste. But why should he collect it from a bin? Should there not be a system that allows us just put the plastics together and go and deposit somewhere, and then those who have use for them will go for them and use them? Those days when we were young, we say we go to Vaco Bola, because Vaco had their waste dump. And basically everything we collect from there has a value. Somebody will buy them.
Right.
So we go and collect them. I hardly go, but occasionally when I follow my friends there, the things they collect, they come and sell, and then they make some money. So it tells you that waste had always had value. The person who sees it at waste at the time probably may not have use for it.
Absolutely.
But the next person has a use for it. So is there a way the person who doesn't have a use for it would manage it so that at the time it gets to the next person, it is in the shape that the person would be able to make use of it, so it doesn't end up in our ocean space? And I think these are some of the things we probably may need to start engaging policy over. That it's gotten to a point where persons would have to be given some tax to perform in order to maintain their positions in government. Between 2019 and 2021, 2009, 2011, 21 whales, most of them hunchback whales, were beached in the Western region. Some of us raised a lot of issues. I remember I organized about 3 press conferences. One of the explanations given was that most of the whales had taken in so much plastic that it has become difficult for them to breed. And that is why they all came beached. Even though some of us challenge the reason because of the numbers that beach around the same time, because it was so spontaneous and so continuous. But assuming that is the case, you know how much the volume of waste plastic that one whale may take into the system, and because of the way they feed, it means that you have a lot of plastic that is gathered in one whale. And if whales are dying, you can talk of dolphins and others, and then what may be happening to our fisheries resources. So we have a responsibility to save our ocean. We have a responsibility to protect our coastline. But the state has a bigger responsibility to ensure that we live by our responsibilities, first by enforcing the law, and secondly by doing the right thing, making sure that when you are doing construction, you do it well. We need to have we have a land use and planning authority, and I honestly have not seen what they are doing, because everywhere is disorganized. And if you live in a country where you have a land use and planning authority, and we are not talking about marine spatial planning, and the land that we work on, it's become very difficult for us to plan. Why am I saying this? You see the way we are spotting our beaches with hotels, and I ask, what pattern is it following? What plan is it following? Is it that we've decided that our beaches, every space around the beach should be hotel or some joint or something? And people go to these joints, they drink bottled water and things. You don't have proper disposal system, so they just drop them. People go for holidays at the beaches, and most of them...
me here. Meet me here.
Meet me there, yes.
Meet me
and most
there.
of them have their, what do you call it, the ice chest, the cooler, and then they fill them with plastic water and drinks and all of that. For the bottles, they may take them away. But when it comes to the plastic bottles, they will just dispose them at the beaches. If you don't have a proper management system at the beach to clean them, they leave them there. They are taken into the ocean, they are brought back. You see Sakumono, where they call the Titanic Beach. When you stand there and look at the mighty beach, the amount of plastic that is there. And we see these things. Policy people see it. Individuals see it. As a country, what are we doing to at least come together and say, let's unite and fight this plastic? Because it will sink us. It will impoverish all of us. Because if our lands are no longer fertile, we can't farm, we can't feed ourselves. So you may have all the money, but you can't even buy get the food to buy. Right. If our oceans are dry, you will have all the money, you can't get the fish to buy. So we have a responsibility as a people, as a country, to ensure that we prevent further pollution of our water bodies, not just the ocean space. Because now when you talk about the blue economy space, it's moved beyond the ocean space into other water bodies. They are even now talking about underground water. Right. So we need to save our water bodies, save our ocean space. Right. And we need to prevent people from building in our wetlands. Because the rate at which we are losing our wetlands and other natural water, but it's theory. When you look at it, if you understand the issue and you understand the situation, and you know where we are going, and you know that we have put people in leadership position, and their responsibility is to ensure that when we pay taxes to them, they will ensure that we live right and do things right, and they make compromises. Yeah. It's not too good.
It's happening. Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Richter Niyama Matthew. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at how we can get some pathways to, ending plastic pollution in Ghana's marine environment. And that comes on the heels of the topic we discussed last week, which had to do with the adoption of scientific methods or scientific ways to ensure our ocean management and governance for the benefit of our people. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse. Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, you're welcome back. We are going into the discussion one more time, and I would go straight to Prof. Nunu this time around and just find out from you what advice you can provide in terms of best practices to manage this particular trend of plastic pollution as far as the marine environment is concerned.
Okay.
Before then, let me also announce that you can call in and then perhaps contribute to the discussion if you want to do. The number is there on your screen, 02055283353. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. Yes, Prof.
Yes, just to say a few things about the earlier presentation. Yes. The University of Ghana has a pilot segregation scheme going on in the halls.
Okay.
In the halls. So we are doing the segregation and the recycling at the University of Ghana. Two, we want to say that the black plastic rubber actually is not imported. It's produced in Ghana.
But the raw material?
Yeah. What is happening is that we have a National Plastic Waste Collectors Association. Okay. There's a whole association that go around picking this plastic waste. In fact, if you go to Jamestown, Coley, and all those other places, they are there. And they bag them, and then these manufacturers come and buy it from them. And then they have a system of just cleaning it and then put the color inside, the black color, and producing it. I've visited some of these manufacturing systems in Ghana. Okay. And so the black ones is produced, and it's a way of recycling all these things that we are throwing away. They just melt them with heat and just first clean them, melt them, add color, and then you can produce. They are able to produce chaliwote and bowls and all many things, but also producing the black polybags for us. Right. So this sort of organization should be encouraged to collect more. I did a project in which, together with MESTI, we asked, MESTI is Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Yeah. They have a plastic task force. And then we did a project where we set up a league of table for students or pupils to collect pure water, whatever, and bring it for a fee. And then the money that is gathered will be used to improve infrastructure. We did a table for low income, high income, and then whatever, and middle income families. Our finding was that those from the low income brought more. They brought more of the whatever, because when they close, they go guttering it a lot. Right. We also piloted the waste segregation, also in 3 different types of communities. Yes. And this is published, it's online. People can read it. All these studies I'm talking about can be read online. Right. We have this one. I put a student on there, and that student right now is working with a big company, Zoom Lion now, because of the this segregation thing. So what we did was to also divide the group into 3 different communities, low, medium, and whatever, and see how they can adequately segregate at source. Right. Adequately segregate at source. And we saw that in this particular case, those from the high income area were able to segregate at source better than the low income people. One of the main reasons was that they had house helps and things, and then they delegated this house help to be doing the source separation for them. Okay. And it worked out perfectly. Well. Yes, this is something that has been picked up by Zoom Lion, a company, and it is implementing on pilot basis in various communities in Accra right now. Yes, I will support the waste source segregation, because from what my brother described, we tie the organic, and then we even don't allow the organic to come out to help the environment. So I'll support waste source separation, which can be done very easily. I've seen it practiced in many countries, over the world, especially in South America. I saw it. They have containers, colored containers for them, and then they pick them up. I also support the ban of single-use plastics. There's so many of it, and you go to a shop, you ban it, and then you also give an incentive inside that people will pay for having if you want it. Yes. So bring your bag. If not, you pay to have the polythene. Else there's nothing to put your... And you pay more. You pay more. In fact, then there's nothing to put your goods inside. And let's go back to our paper bags. I also call for more collaboration among the institutions. For me, I think we have so many policies. The policies are there. And as he described some of them in the various acts, there's a need for more collaboration among the institutions and then enforcement. And then we should also provide infrastructure. Sometimes you have your thing and you don't even know where to put them. You go many kilometers. Sometimes I'm driving, I'm traveling, and I've got waste in my car. I want to stop somewhere and put it, and you can't see anything. And where even the skips have been provided, they are not emptied on time. And even when it is picked, it's not covered. And as the skip is going, it is rather redistributing it across the country. That's really a bad thing, So I'm talking about infrastructure. I'm talking about empowering these waste collectors to collect more. I'm talking about waste source segregation. All these are best practices and banning single-use plastics. Thank you.
We don't have enough time, Mr. Agweno, but let me just find out from you whether indeed he mentioned his support for the ban of single-use plastic. I just want to find out from you, do you support this particular idea to ban plastics totally in our country?
It's
calls that people are
single use.
It's not only Prof who said it, my other colleague.
Yes.
Personally, I support it. And I think it is a high time we start that. But most of the time, as I mentioned, from 2000, we've been talking about this, and the argument is always at the side of poverty. That this, if we ban this, number of companies are going to collapse. We are not going to have jobs and something like that. But the point is, if you want to ban something, you are not going to say tomorrow all those who are producing these bags, they should stop. There is always a timeline that is given, and most of those companies can retrofit. And you give them time. So if, for example, when we were having this discussion some 10 years back, we have taken that bold step. And then the companies that are there, we said, we are giving you 5 years. From this time, 5 years going, we don't want this thin film or this single use, especially the black one, and all that. We don't want to see it again. The carrier bags must be such a way that the one who is going to dispose of it is having some pain that this good thing, I'm going to throw it away. So I'll rather keep it and fold it neatly. The next time I'm going, I use it. So if we move from this thin film, the one that you, as Richard said, sometimes you take it and then before you know, it's torn. So you can't use it again. It has to go to the bin.
Now they have tote bag, the plastic, the cloth bag. It's become fashion.
Yes.
Let's promote that.
Yes.
They call tote bag, different designs.
Different designs. That are coming out. So I support the ban on the single use. Let's just give them the manufacturers time. And you remember I said the UN idea is we must look at the production cycle. So that is the starting from the production cycle. So do we still want to continue to produce it the way it is? There must be a change. We must bring a change. And then that is when we are looking at enforcement of not producing, that is the ban, then it will help people to change the way that they produce it.
Yeah.
Then the second thing that he mentioned is infrastructure, which Prof also supported.
Yes.
These are critical pathways for us. The last time I was talking with one of my colleagues, they are in our education department in the agency.
Seconds, please.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah. I said, anytime you go on education, and we see it all around, with this, don't urinate here, don't urinate here, don't urinate here, all over the place. Meanwhile, the thing is worrying me. Why should I go? There is no place that is pointed, and that is what Prof mentioned. I have this. Don't dispose here. Don't do it here. But to where?
Yeah.
So instead of having the infrastructure and pointing people to it, we are always doing the negative one. Pathway should be positive.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll come to you and find out whether you have some solutions to proffer as far as this particular phenomenon is concerned, and then we wrap up. I'll give you 1 minute to do that, but we'll go to the inbox and indulge our viewers. This one says, hello, I'm Port. Very critical decision there. Kudos. I would like to know from government's perspective what plan it has for national waste segregation. Perhaps the EP official can help. My name is Benis in Accra. Well, we'll take that response and give it to you so that you can watch that in our abridged version. This one says, my name is Kofi Kwashiga. I am all for the ban on single-use plastics. We are truly suffocating the earth with plastics. It's not just about the future generation, but even we, the current generation, is at risk. And this one from Kweku Botre in Tema says, I think waste segregation is seen as a rich man's practice. We may have to not only educate and support, but support that with the provision of infrastructure. The state should sacrifice and spend money on waste segregation bins and distribute them in the community. Yes, so let me find out from you, what solutions do you have to proffer, Mr. Matthew, and then we wrap up.
I think at this stage we need to start taking out what we have put in there. And we need to find ways and means of
Just in 1 minute, please.
And ways and means of taking it apart from a few associates. You need to have a clear government policy and direction that is saying that we are taking plastic, at least as much as we can, out of the system and put them to better use. And so it may not, Zoom Lions and others may not be enough. So whilst we are looking at some other policies like waste segregation, which I think that every primary school in any corner, preschool, should have facilities for waste segregation.
All educational institutions.
All education, health institutions. You see, it must be clear by the roadside, like Prof was saying. When I'm walking and I have a plastic, my car is always dirty. Because I can't throw it out there. So my car is always dirty. You should have places where you can properly dispose some of these waste. So when we are doing that, we should also be thinking about how to take what we've already put into the system as much as we can take, so that we start cleaning our beaches and making our environment cleaner.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Rickster Ni Amafio, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Economy and Governance Consult. He's also the Secretary of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana. We say thanks to Professor Francis Nunu, who is the head of the Marine and Fisheries Sciences Department of the University of Ghana, and indeed to Mr. Kojo Agbeno Efunam, who is Director in charge of Petroleum at the Environmental Protection Agency. We say thanks also to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, WELL, PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, we shall bounce back next week with another wonderful edition of Iron Port. Have a great evening and keep watching the rest of our programs and a super week ahead. We are out for now.